Hello, everybody. Welcome to BRENTLY Live. We're making fun of FundyTube to turn religious fears into laughter tears. Uh, this is a show where I basically dive down the YouTube rabbit hole into fundamentalist extremism and see what's going on there. So today we got this show called Flashpoint. It's a really popular like MAGA cults type of I mean, it's just all over the place. It has a bunch of prophet pastors and stuff that are obsessed with Trump. So I logged into my dummy account, my fundamentalist YouTube dummy account, and it looks like this just dropped. So I was like, all right, maybe we gotta we gotta watch it together. I haven't watched any of it, so trigger warning because Lauren Boebert is going to be interviewed on this show, Flashpoint. So, just so you know, trigger warning. If you if you want to move on, that's okay. I totally understand. But yeah, let's take a look at what's going on here.
Truth and freedom. Tucker Carlson. I want to play a part of a clip where he's being interviewed by that bastion of right reporting, Russell Brand. What else are you lying about? Watch.
You know it's infected when it hurts. You press it. You recoil. They immediately recoiled when you asked any questions about January 6th. And that was a tip off to me. I mean, I had no.
This is where I get irritated with Russell Brand. What is he doing, man? Like, he has completely gone into the right-wing grift now, hasn't he? And I feel like next is, who, like the TYT people, I think. Because this is just crazy. I don't know why. Like, I don't know what he was doing. His whole thing at first was like, I just want to have the conversations. I just want to have conversations. And yeah, and then of course the conversations like got more and more into anti-vax crap, and then he's just slowly moving more and more right wing, because this is what happens when you legitimize right-wing bullshit talking points and act like they're anything other than bullshit talking points, because that's all they are. They're not arguments, they're talking points. And if you legitimize them, then hey, then you're like, or whatever, for whatever reason, if you're on a show where you interview these people, they get convinced by these crazy right wingers. It's insane. Hey, Trusty Apes here. Hey, how we doing? So yeah, it's just it was very disappointing because I actually liked him. Well, I mean, I liked him in movies. I liked was it Forgetting Sarah Marshall? He was pretty funny at that, actually. But yeah, that's about it, though.
In my head, as I watched this happen on television and in the subsequent weeks, that U.S. law enforcement or military agencies had anything to do with it. That never crossed my mind. I never thought it was a false flag or anything like that. I'm not a conspiracist by temperament. I never thought that.
Yeah, you are, man. Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. YAYAR. Yeah, you are. Okay.
And then I interviewed the chief of the Capitol Police, Stephen Sund, in an interview that was never aired on Fox, by the way. I was fired before it could air. I'm going to interview him again. But Stephen Sund was totally
it's so funny too. Look what is happening. Like he seems like he has had a complete meltdown. Like, when your buddy's like doing too much cocaine, and he's having trouble stopping drinking and stuff, and you go over to his house. He's sprawled out on the floor, broken bottles all over the place. There's pill bottles and stuff everywhere. And then they get up, and you're like, "Hey, man, are you okay? Are you okay, buddy?" I feel like that's exactly the look, of somebody who's being asked, "Are you okay?" With the hair going on here and just the Hulk, and he's been fired, and it's just, it seems like he's had a complete crash.
Political. Worked for Nancy Pelosi. I mean, this was not some right-wing activist. He was the chief of the Capitol Police on January 6th. And he said, oh, yeah. That crowd was filled with federal agents. What? Yes. Well, he would know, of course, because he was in charge of security at the site. So the more time has passed. Now
I've seen a million, we have so much footage from inside the January 6th. All of those people were right-wing nutbag conservative idiots, conspiracy theorists and stuff. And we like all those people, the reason that they caught so many of them is because they could find them. Their faces were all exposed. We know who they all are. Like they weren't federal fucking agents. It's so annoying when they do this. You know what? Like federal agents were just pretending, like they were just dressing up in the US of A get up with and helping build hangman's nooses outside and everything. Like, come on, dude.
It's been 2.5 years. It becomes really obvious that core claims they made about January 6th were lies. And my view about events and about people is if you catch someone telling a lie about one thing, the first question you have is, what else are you lying about?
So that's you, man. So what? So I guess this is the other thing that you're lying about, because we have caught you lying so many goddamn times. It's unreal. It's funny too. I can't remember who I was talking to about this, but they were like saying, talking about like, oh, he does all this straight shooting reporting or whatever. And I was just like, dude, has he ever done a retraction? Has he ever said, hey, I thought this was the case, I was wrong? That was not true, whatever. Like, because if he's never done that before, ever, then you can't really trust anything that he says, because all humans make mistakes. All of us have made mistakes, and it's so easy, especially with how fast the news cycles work these days, to make a mistake. And he's what you're saying, that he's never made a mistake the entire time. And of course, his reporting is so right wing. It's so biased. It's so unbelievably there's no, I don't know. I mean, it's pure propaganda, like straight up. Like there's not, some news organizations are like more leaning this way or leaning that way. That's not even that, because it's not like it's just right leaning. It is pure propaganda. Anyway.
Good, Lance. That last comment is really the whole point of what I wanted you to see, because when you find somebody, you catch somebody in a lie, your first thought is exactly what he said. What else are you lying to me about? The White House has got a problem.
The irony here too is that this is the show that has all of the prophets on that all prophesied that Trump would win, and he didn't. So we caught you in that lie. What else are you lying about? I don't know. Maybe having the megaphone for God. I don't know. Maybe something like that.
The DOJ's got a problem. The FBI's got a problem. The Democrat Party's got a problem. The Republican Party's got a problem.
He looks like he has got a stomach ache going on, or something. Something is going on inside his body. He's like, oh, I can do it. I can pull it together. Oh man, it's painful. Oh, I should not have eaten those bell peppers. That was stupid. That was dumb. Why did I do that? I knew I was coming on here tonight.
Lying. And when you lie, you're hesitant to believe anything is truth anymore.
But this is why I really believe revival and awakening started, Gene. I'm serious about this.
His name's Gene. Oh, that's too bad.
Can be as neurotic as anyone else and have to get my faith back up there when I look at the news cycle, because I immerse myself in this as you do. But I'm seeing.
I apologize to any Genes out there. I didn't mean it like a bad thing, but it's just for these super tough guys, and everything that they try to purport of being, and gotta be extra masculine and all that, and then they have a name Gene. It just
something changed.
I don't know.
There's a collective awareness of the lying. You see, a lot of Americans have been giving hope and shrugging their shoulders and hoping that maybe there's a mistake, because we have been intentionally deceived all along, and America's waking up to it, and it's going to feed into this great awakening.
Is he trying to say like that the big deception was that there was FBI agents all in January 6th? Is he really running with this? Because one cop saying that, and I wish I could see the context to know what the hell they're talking about, because police are not exempt from being right-wing nutbags. Like they're not. Like just because they're the Capitol Police or was a Capitol Police officer that worked at the Capitol, that doesn't exempt them from being crazy conspiracy theorists,
Awakening moment. So for instance, the January 6th hearings, we now realize was complete manipulated theater. And we know it because what the chief of police said to Tucker in that interview, wasn't it strange that they never called me up there? After all, I am the chief of the Capitol Police. They got unionized guys that are on Pelosi's payroll to come in and talk. Why wouldn't they get the chief of police in charge? Because
I don't know, maybe because he's a right-wing nutbag that was like in complete agreement with the terrorists that came and broke into the Capitol and tried to murder politicians. Maybe that.
So I'll tell you what happened. There was political manipulation days ahead of that to set this incident up, and the place was swarming with feds. They didn't want me in there giving those answers.
Just show me one fed. Can you just show me one video of one fed on one street or whatever, like one person caught on camera, because there were cameras all through that thing, and yet nobody can verify that any federal agents were in there. This is just the most conspiracy nonsense. It's impressive how far they have to go to not seem like know that they're being stupid in their own mind. They have to like keep on adding, it's like the grand conspiracy thing, right? You just keep on adding people to the conspiracy. Well, they were in on it too. Well, they were in on it too. Well, how come no whistleblowers, ever came out? Well, they must have been in on it too. Like, it just keeps growing. It's called the grand conspiracy. Like, I think it's a fallacy. I don't know if it's a fallacy. It's just that's just what they call it, where it keeps getting bigger and bigger.
Context real quick. You and I were with Eric Metaxas a couple of weeks ago. He was
Eric
talking about comparisons to 1930s Germany. I don't mean to be repetitive from previous programs, but
that's so funny. I have like two different videos if you go back, and both of the videos he's comparing shit. It's Eric Metaxas comparing shit to the Nazis, and then they're just mentioning him, and they're like, and the Nazis do. Like, it's crazy.
We have to remember the Rostock fire of 1933. That was the German plan, the Nazi plan. They used that. They used lies about it to get rid of political opposition.
And that's so funny, because that was exactly what the video was that I covered of Eric Metaxas, was saying it was like the Rostock fire or whatever. Because if you're not familiar, the Rostock fire was something that was contrived, that the Germans did to enact a bunch of laws, basically stripping everybody in Germany of their freedoms, and took away, I can't remember, like put it into a police state, the military took over and all that, all because of this fire that was staged by Hitler. And anyway,
ultimately what led to the enabling acts that allowed them to get rid of free speech and all of those things. Here's the difference today in 1930s Germany. They tried the same thing. Think of some of the bills they tried to pass in 2021. Now Lance is 100% right. The lies have finally weighed enough on the American people. They're no longer going to sit back. Remember what the Declaration says. We just celebrated it last week. We know that a history tells us men will suffer evils while they are sufferable. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing inevitably the same object, evinces a design to put them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off those forms of government. Now, we're not going to abolish it, but we are going to alter it.
It's the same thing that he read in what the hell is that movie? National Treasure. I remember in the I don't know if you've watched that movie, but he like reads that one part of the Declaration of Independence saying that, like, if any government ever becomes like bad or whatever, it's our responsibility to like take over the government or whatever. Yeah. And that's where he gets the idea, I've got to steal the Declaration of Independence. That was like why he was like, the Declaration says right there to break laws and stuff. All right, we got to do it then.
American people are standing up and doing now. They're saying, we're going to fix this. We're going to get back to federalism. They're awake. I couldn't agree more with what Lance said.
Yeah, amen. All right, Lance, I think you had a follow-up to that.
Yeah, just to follow up on this, just because it's got me stoked up. What Rick's saying is, let's just remember, we have to remind ourselves of this. The FBI, we had 20 whistleblowers that went up and basically lost their jobs, exposing corruption, and the media isn't saying anything. If programs like this do not sound an alarm, these stories get lost. 20 of these men lost their careers as whistleblowers, and here's what they said. We were following drug cartel cases. We were following serious terrorism infrastructure invasion. We were told stop and begin looking for white supremacist militia activity. The narrative they want, the Reichstag fire they want, is somehow that they can pin upon frustrated conservative.
The exact opposite of what happened with the Reichstag fire. That was so that the the white supremacists could take all the rights away from everybody else in the country, and this is like the opposite. This is like, oh yeah, they did that because, I mean, every single metric that the feds have like put, and this has been said to death, that there is like, as far as like, I think it was what 2022, every single politically motivated crime or shooting or whatever was all right-wing extremists, and most of which were white supremacists. So this is not any small thing. They're acting like it's crazy. There's no white suprem. What do they even call? I don't even know what they're called, because it's just something that doesn't even exist, but it's like, come on, man. We have evidence, that like piles of evidence, of this kind of behavior, and these kind of militias specifically. Like they hate everybody and they're obsessed with guns. It is obviously the most dangerous like groups that we should be watching out for, like, obviously.
Trump supporters, that they're a dangerous anti-democracy, violent minority. And so the FBI said, but there's no evidence of that. They started to incentivize them to find some evidence so they could start saying, remember the goofball statements that would come out by these leaders?
It's so weird that they're like, have to be like, oh man, they're trying so hard to find something wrong with all the white supremacists and stuff. And they sit there and act like it doesn't exist, because it's like, it's you guys. Like, you guys are all on that team. It's so weird. They're like, it's like the man, I can't remember what it was. It was Reno 911, and it was like the KKK guys would sit there and be like gaslighting the hell out of everybody. Oh no, we don't mean the N-word like that. We're taking it back for whatever. And it's just like this, like, you would just sit there and gaslight the police. And they're like, no, we can tell that you're just lying. Stop. And they would just keep on just saying like that they weren't being racist while like putting up the N-word and stuff. It was crazy. But that just reminds me of how these people are all the time.
The number one threat in the United States is the danger of white supremacy and terrorism. No fact in it whatsoever, but that's the narrative in order to kill their political opposition.
Just like that 100 and something shootings that were all motivated by that exact rhetoric. But sure, buddy.
Right. Lies, lies, and more lies. It's kind of a running theme tonight. Speaking of lies, let me go to this next, because I need to move along here. Look at what Charlie Kirk, our good friend, said. 350,000 unaccompanied minors have already come across Joe Biden's open border since 2021.
Oh my God, they're obsessed.
85,000 plus of those have gone missing, according to DHS. Tens of thousands more have fallen victim to massive child smuggling, child labor operations, and it's crickets from the media. And yet, Jim Caviezel and Tim Ballard make one movie about child sex trafficking, and the legacy media complex goes into overdrive to discredit Sound of Freedom, QAnon adjacent. Are you paying attention yet? Now, this is very straightforward. And Jesse, I'm going to go to you first.
What the hell? Like, where is he said according to DHS, but like, where does he get that from? Because I swear it makes it so difficult to like deal with these types of stories, because there's always like a whole bunch of shit they're not saying, and it's usually like in the context of something else, but they're like twisting it on purpose. So it's like so hard to tell like what they're even talking about in that regard. Like, people, thousands, you're saying thousands of children have come over and then all just disappeared. It just doesn't, I don't, I think they're not understanding something's happening here or something. I don't know.
The reality is, anyone that saw that film, there's not one statement about, there's nothing QAnon in that film. There's nothing. And the reality is, there's some QAnon things that we thought were crazy a couple years ago have come to be true.
Well, wait, which is it?
That's not
that's so funny. He's like, there's nothing QAnon in there, but QAnon's not actually that stupid. That QAnon's actually, a lot of that stuff came true, but there's nothing QAnon. Like, which is it, man? Is it totally stupid and crazy and it has nothing to do with it? Or is it true? And you think that QAnon is actually accurate and there are things that are happening? It's so funny how they can like say the opposite of the thing they just said.
A point. Yet look at the mass media. They're not even smart at this, Jesse. They're all throwing in behind this to come against a film that does nothing but save children. Why in the world wouldn't you want to save children?
Well, it's amazing.
Well, because people. I mean, we want to save children. Don't get me wrong, but and it's so. This whole thing is so obnoxious. But y'all are fucking obsessed with this stuff. You're obsessed with saying that, child trafficking, all this stuff, and saying that everybody is doing it. Like only the political people that you don't like are the ones that are doing it. And to the point where, because of QAnon, we've had some guy try to go shoot up a pizza shop because he believed that same type of shit. So yeah, we're all a little bit nervous when the right wing hyper funds this movie and then also buys a bunch of tickets. By the way, that's why it went so crazy at the box office. The churches bought entire theaters out so that they could all go watch it or whatever, regardless if people showed up or not. But yeah, so it makes us a little bit nervous when you're pushing a movie like that. That those types of narratives had led people to hold up pizza shops with machine guns,
because they're losing power. This film showed them that their power is not what they think it is. But there's a scripture in the Bible about all these liars, that all liars shall have their part in a lake of fire. There are going to be a lot of government people in hell for eternity. Now, I'm not just saying that to get somebody's reaction. That's the word of the living God. But when that movie made more than
the word of the living God said there's going to be a lot of politicians burning in the lake of fire. Seems like you might have added that part. I'm just saying, it sounds like you said that part. Okay. And it's just, they're craving for harm to come to the people they don't like. It's just so gross.
Indiana Jones say that they got a slap in the face and they didn't like that. And yet anybody ought to be for stopping child smuggling and all kinds of different things. But see, people don't care when they're consumed by money and they're consumed by power. You see what I'm saying?
The movie Taken was about that shit. We all like the movie Taken. It's just when it's when it's funded by a bunch of nut jobs, that kind of, again, makes us a little bit nervous. Not to mention it has a QAnon guy playing the lead character, right? And it was completely funded by right-wing extremists, and they also funded the
but you must be
theaters.
Superior to power instead of driven by it. And what is happening in this society today, everybody's driven by power instead of being superior to it. So it doesn't make no difference what they say. God is going to have his way. Now, you know what I'm tired of, and I say this to Republicans and Democrats, I'm tired of allegations. People, allegations, always saying that we investigate. Show me some evidence. Get me some stuff. Go in there and do what you got to do to get.
Oh, now you want evidence. Okay, that's great. But when it was the election was stolen, everybody's just supposed to believe it,
Get those papers, to get those documents, to do what you need to do, whether it's on the media side or whether it's on our government side. See, because that's how they keep it stirring up. Allegations, and nobody ever gets no responsibility is given to anyone as long as it's allegations. We have to get firm. We have to get hard. We have to get street smart and say, give me these things at such and such a date or else, because everybody's bought and paid for. Now, when you say or else, they're going to read into that. What
are y'all getting any of this? Do y'all understand what the hell he's talking about? I'm completely lost.
Can that be? Let me tell you what the government.
I feel like maybe I should turn on the captions or something. Am I missing words here? Am I only catching every fourth word?
It's more than any word in the vocabulary of English language. No. When you tell the government no, you shake them to your shoes. It's time, ladies and gentlemen, to tell our government no.
About what?
And tell the media that's not doing what they're supposed to do no. Instead of just one like Fox or somebody over here doing whatever they do, it's time to just stand up. And the way to do that is to get in the streets. You can say what you want, man. You get in the streets. What moved the civil rights movement?
They get in the streets and everybody just has a bunch of signs that say no. And they're like, what? No to what? I don't know. We're just supposed to say no. I don't. We don't. We don't think about stuff.
Where it changed America, and that's Martin Luther King, because they got in the streets. And when you get in the streets, that makes people nervous, and you got to be willing to take whatever you got to do to.
And if you want to get firm and hard, go to adamandeve.com. Enter code word BRENTLY. And you can get 3 free gifts, one for him, one for her, and one you'll both enjoy. 50% off almost any one item, and 6 free movies and free shipping on the whole order. So yeah, you should if you want to get firm, that's where you should go. adamandeve.com. Enter code word BRENTLY. That's awesome. Thank you.
Do what you got to do and get this thing done. And that's how you change.
It's funny. The sponsor actually just reached out. I guess I'm supposed to do it longer. I'm supposed to. So near the end, I'm going to have to take a little bit longer and go over the sponsor.
This nation.
I always figured I could just say it real quick and I'll be like, all right, we're moving on. Like, y'all get
talking
it.
about
if you want sex toys, you'll go there, right? That's what you're gonna do. I don't need to drag it anyway. But
maybe we should be looking at all of those Guardians of the Galaxy in the print media who are criticizing this exposure and wonder if their senior leadership or higher are part of the pedophile network that they're denying exists.
This right here is exactly why we're like, you're doing the thing. That's the reason why we get so irritated about movies like this. It's because of you. Right? You're like, well, if they're a non-Christian movie, they're in on it. They're doing it. They're part of the ring. What the fuck? Oh my God, man. Because they made the movie Guardians of the Galaxy. What are you talking about?
I say that because Rolling Stone, Washington Post, CNN, why would you mock something?
Michelle said, that Jesse is watered down Jim Baker. Yeah, that's yeah, I could see that. That makes actually really good sense.
That is actually worthy of your consideration. Why would you diminish it? By the way, the Department of Justice. Here's an expose.
I'd never really heard of the Jesse one. I don't. Yeah, I know Lance Wall now, but just from the Telltale, he always watches these.
Breaking news: the Department of Justice scrubbed references to the categories of sex trafficking in minors, child victims of prostitution, and cross-border transportation of children. They scrubbed those categories in May in anticipation of more exposure. You know why? Because Americans are going to start to put together the fact that the open border is providing 85,000 children to a network of willing elites who are part of the problem.
That's so true. You're
the elites are. I'm so confused by their whole narrative. So they're bringing in kids from other countries to give them to the elites, and nobody's able to have any evidence of this. And you're acting like they are trying to hide stuff. I highly doubt it. I don't think that's what they're saying. They're scrubbed those categories. What does that even mean? Like what? I bet you it's something as simple as like they changed the wording in it or something like that, and they're like, that's scrubbed. See, they changed it. They're messing with stuff. They're messing with it.
Breaking, the Biden DOJ announces charges against Galluft, a think tank.
Well, an answer said, let me see here. I will bet everything I have that Jesse Duplantis was against MLK when he was alive. He's post hoc on the right side of history. Yeah, exactly. Let's see. I found your show via Seamus. Oh, cool. And the Jib. Happy to be here. Oh, great. I'm so glad you're here. That's awesome. Yeah, I love Seamus. We have a lot of fun. Seamus is super cool.
Official who provided the FBI with info on the Biden's family dealings with China back in 2019. Now you're saying, who is Dr. Galluft?
That's what I want
you to watch just a little piece of this 14-minute video. It's just minute 52. Give you some background who Galluft really is.
Minute 52 of that's a clip?
Good day. My name is Dr. Gal Luft. For the past 20 years, I have been the co-director of the Institute for the Analysis of Global Security, a Washington-based think tank focused on energy security. For the past 15 years, I've been a resident of Israel. And for 4 years...
Michelle said these guys are PragerU dropouts. That's excellent. Right? I mean, and that's a low bar. Okay, anybody can pass PragerU. That it's basically just a diploma mill minus the diplomas. So it's.
I was senior advisor to the China energy company CFC at the same time of its dealings with the Biden family. Under normal circumstances, I would be testifying before Congress about my experience with CFC. Sadly, due to circumstances I shall describe here in this video, I am forced to tell you this story via video. My ordeal goes back to a fatal decision I made in March of 2019 to share with the US government my.
The Angier said, back in the day, I used to watch Jesse Duplantis sermons all the time. He has said problematic things. I couldn't direct you to a specific sermon without really searching for it. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it. Honestly, I don't. It doesn't take a lot. Like, I could probably watch one of his old sermons, and he'd probably say like 7 problematic things before I got through the first half an hour. You know what I mean?
Knowledge about the Biden family's relations with CFC. As I said, it was in March of 2019 in a 2-day session at the US Embassy in Brussels. I insisted that the meeting take place in March because at the time there were rumors that Joe Biden was planning to run for president. I saw it as my civic duty to alert the government beforehand and give it enough time to probe the issue. I want to be clear. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I have no political motive or agenda.
Sure.
I did it out of deep concern that if the Bidens were to come to power, the country would be facing the same traumatic Russia collusion scandal, only this time with China.
All right, this time with China. Let me bring in from the great state of Colorado.
Oh, here she comes, I think. Yeah, dude. Honestly, and of course, say, look, I don't have any political affiliation at all. I am like right in the. I'm aggressively centrist, aggressively. So you don't look at that. Okay, don't look at me being biased or anything. But I knew before Biden even got elected that he's going to do crimes. So, because of China, and come on, man, I just don't. I don't buy any of it. I'm sure that there's dealings and stuff, right? That like they have business deal. I mean, they're all very wealthy and they all are very well connected. They're going to be doing a lot of stuff like that. But I don't know. I highly doubt that guy had any, because if you had actual information, you'd go through the courts and stuff. You can, but you have to be able to get past the very minimal bar of standing. And I don't know. So anyway.
Our friend Representative Lauren Boebert, Congresswoman, let me get your take on this. Now, everybody says this guy's missing. We see the video. He's obviously concerned for his very life right now.
Wow, she looks weird.
Otherwise, he wouldn't be in hiding.
She looks different, right? Did her head like get bigger or something? I don't know. Something's odd. Maybe it's the camera angle. Also, and she's wearing my color too. What the fuck, man? What is with all the people I don't like using my color?
We take from all
my
of this?
color.
This is really shameful that someone actually came forward to share their knowledge of what's going on within the dealings of the federal government and the corruption that he was witnessing firsthand. We have whistleblower protections, and Gal Luft was indicted by Merrick Garland's DOJ just this week. And this is, of course, after he released this video, this statement a few months ago saying that he provided the FBI with evidence of corruption involving the Biden crime family in 2019. The DOJ alleges Luft received payment from the Chinese energy firm CFC, who also conveniently had a deal with Hunter Biden, and also claims that Luft was an unlicensed arms dealer. Both claims Luft has denied, but Luft has gone on to say that he's innocent and that all these charges are being
Boebert to the rescue. Yeah.
brought against him to protect Hunter, his Uncle Jim, and even Trader Joe. And the American people are sick and tired of Biden's double standard.
The grocery guy, the guy that does the groceries, that with small, teeny tiny parking lots, by the way. Like, I don't know, how do they have Trader Joe's in like Texas where everybody drives trucks? How do they even do that? They got to be just getting in accidents all the time at that Trader Joe's. I don't know.
Standard, and his agency, his minions, covering up for the Bidens while simultaneously indicting conservatives.
You can't help but like picture all the little
Merrick Garland's Department of Justice and Christopher Wray's FBI are taxpayer-funded agencies working for the Biden campaign.
So, Congresswoman, when you see all of this happening,
there's so much nonsense.
First off,
like they're just inferring so much shit and it's all like this stuff only makes any kind of sense if you've already had your brain in the blender, from the get. So like it's like all these agencies are in the pocket of Biden, who wasn't even president at the time. He was going to be running for president. And yet he like had control of government agencies and stuff. Like all these government agencies are just like so all about Biden and the Democrats. All the DOJ. Are you kidding me? They're notoriously right wing. What are you talking about?
Dolph, thank you for serving not just your state but the nation there in corrupt DC. But when we see this, it seems
corrupt.
to me they're wanting to throw these charges.
Like, does the word corrupt even mean anything anymore? It's like if you just call everything corrupt, then nothing is corrupt because there's no distinction.
At him because if he's
the fact that that Trump is not corrupt is just there were so many. I mean, okay, how long is Biden been? He's been there 3 years going on 4. And we haven't had tons of arrests of people connected to foreign like money scandals and schemes. There were tons of arrests with Trump. Like most of his like all of the people that he hired and stuff that was draining the swamp, like a ton of them got arrested with connections of money crimes and all this, just actual corruption. Yet there's nothing with Biden. And look, I'm not some Biden stan. I don't care, if he's corrupt, fine, fuck him, get rid of him. I don't care, but they're just calling everybody, like, it doesn't matter who was, the Democratic president right now. They of course would be the whatever crime family, but it's just
under investigation or he's got
hilarious.
some charges, then he's not, they can't interview him and get any information. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. Michelle said, I mean, go ahead, arrest all of the Bidens, but don't stop there. If you are going to clean house. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. If there's any crimes, like arrest people for the crimes or like hold people responsible. Like I'm all for that, but we can't do this like them, them over there need to be held responsible, but not these people over here need to be held responsible. It's just not, it's inconsistent and it's dishonest. And they know it is. It's almost like, and I keep hearing the same argument. I don't know how involved you all are with arguing with people online, but they were doing the same thing, like saying that like Biden with the box of documents or whatever, right? And they're trying to say like, oh, well, he should get in trouble just like Trump did, as if those things are the same. And then saying that Hillary Clinton's emails were the same too. She was never indicted. And he gave the box back as soon as they realized it wasn't where it needed to be, and he's still president. So it's like all these things are completely different, but it's just so funny how they will be like, "Oh, you guys got to be consistent. As long as I want you to arrest I want somebody to or you to acknowledge that your guys did just as bad of a thing as our guy did." Like it's just, it's insane.
They're always looking to that excuse of having an investigation and not being able to pursue something. Now, everything that we're seeing come out with the Biden crime family, I mean, this has all been taking place for years, and a lot of it is even past the statute of limitations. And the way that we're seeing this in the Oversight Committee is that this is not a bug in the system, it's a feature in the system that the FBI, the DOJ did not want to go after
Logan.
the Bidens.
What's up? The right can't understand that the left doesn't worship the team leader. Yeah, exactly. That is something that just they don't understand. If we're just like, okay, fine, fuck the Bidens, then they're just like, wait, what? Isn't he your like cult leader that can do no wrong? No, man, because we're not fucking weird like you guys.
All these years, even though they had this information. And now we have Gal Luft coming out and admitting to this. We don't know where he is now, but still there is no action that is being taken. I mean, even if you look at just what happened with David Weiss and Attorney General Merrick Garland, he gave Hunter Biden a sweetheart deal that no other American would have ever received. So this is not just.
Yeah, they loved that whole thing. That like Hunter Biden got like slapped on the wrist or whatever for whatever. He did get held responsible though. It's just, but he, didn't get what they thought he should get.
A bug or a glitch in the system. This is an absolute feature.
Boy, it sure is. And let me go to you, Rick. You hear all this. This is what makes America
great,
really frustrated, because they see a guy that came out March of 2019 and it was buried. This thing was buried, and now he's fearing for his life. We don't know where he is, and thank God he's somewhere safe. But Rick, this is another bad litmus test of where the nation is when it comes to, like Lauren Boebert was saying, with the DOJ, everybody we're working with seems to be on the take.
Yeah, we're fortunate, Gene, that we've got enough of a history and enough of a foundation of what justice really is, biblical justice.
Yeah. Logan said finding coke in the White House didn't help anything. Oh, come on. That like most politicians are on that shit. You know what I mean? And they get the good stuff too, not that fentanyl laced shit. They get like the real shit. You know what I mean? Yeah, I that one just made me laugh, because I was just like, of course there's coke in the fucking White House. There's always been coke in the White House since fucking George Washington was there.
It's just honest weights and measures, treating everybody the same, that people know in their gut this is wrong. They know in their gut that it's wrong, not even to be able to hear from this guy, right? I mean, that's the whole reason in the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, we have the right to confront witnesses, to call witnesses in our favor, get it all out there and let us see who's believable. I love that you played the clip, because we can see that this guy, at least it appears to me, is believable. I'd love to see him cross-examined and all that good stuff. But even if he did everything the DOJ says he did, well, then what's he doing in business with the Biden family? And what does that say about the Biden family and the type of people they did business with? If he did all the arms transactions, well, Hunter Biden's already known for that, some illegal guns and that sort of thing. We already know that they've been on the take for these other issues, let alone what this guy is saying. So I just think people.
I guess I don't keep up with all of they probably know what he's talking about, because they like have all these like stories about Biden that they just fucking consume, just like, feed it into my brain now. Do it. Yeah, it's it's just crazy. But I don't know about a lot of this stuff. I don't really care. If he did something wrong, arrest him. I don't fucking care, man. This is so dumb. And to sit there and act like his son doing something wrong or whatever like impacts the the President Biden. Like, Hunter is not president. I don't get it. And I know we know for a fact that the Trump's kids were doing crimes constantly. I mean, it's just so
in their gut, we're not getting justice. We're not getting blind justice. We're not getting equal justice. And thankfully,
George Washington powdered his wig with coke. Fact. Yes,
we've got a House committee right now that Lauren's on, and with these other good folks in the House.
It used to be affordable, back then when George Washington was doing it. It was like, a dime used to cost a dime. You know how much condoms cost? They don't know. They never used to.
That is investigating these things and hopefully getting to the bottom of it. Hopefully be able to call these folks if the DOJ will get out of the way. Last thing, this whole idea of silencing the opposition by filing charges against them. I've never been for gag orders and for these judges that'll silence the defendant, or if you're the one bringing a claim against someone, you should be able to go out and have your freedom of speech.
All the different judges are all trying to silence these people. They're all trying to keep them, insulate these people. Come on, man. That just doesn't make any sense. There's too much diversity within those jobs and whatnot for them to all be lockstep trying to protect people,
And freedom of the press to talk about these things and let the American people know about it, even while the trial is happening. They always hide behind that and claim you won't get a fair trial and all that nonsense. That's what they're doing to silence people. Exactly as Lauren said, this is a feature for them. It's not a bug. And we've got to stop it. Like Jesse said earlier, we need to be standing up and saying, not on my watch. Are we going to lose our justice system in America?
It's really accurate there. In fact, Senator Ron Johnson talked about this very thing about the whistleblowers. Watch.
How are we ever going to get to the bottom of all of this if the people who are abusing power are still in power? It's the same with the Russia collusion story. All of those people who pushed Russia collusion aggressively are now, many of them are actually in Biden's cabinet. Look at Jake Sullivan. He was the one pushing the story for Hillary Clinton. So what are we going to do, and what can you do as an elected official?
Didn't a bunch of that's what I was going to say. Didn't a bunch of people get arrested for interactions with Russia as it related to like campaign finance laws being broken, because you're not supposed to get like money from foreign countries and stuff. And there was money. I can't remember the whole thing specifically, but like there was a lot of misuse of funds as far as like getting money from Russia and everything. There was evidence. It wasn't like it was all just made up. There was like the one thing was fake, but there were other aspects. People were arrested. There were several Russian people that were arrested. There was that Russian spy lady too. There was all sorts of shit. Anyway,
to ensure that this corruption is exposed.
Let me see. Logan says, let's see. The Hunter gun thing is he responded no to the background check questionnaire that asks, are you an unlawful user of or addicted to marijuana? Addicted to marijuana, okay, or any other depressant, stimulant, narcotic drug. Of course he said no, because the answer is yes, to all of it, except for being addicted to marijuana, because that's fucking stupid. That's not a thing that happens. Jesus. Well, when purchasing a gun in 2018, my God, they like, it's crazy that the connections that they find or whatever and think are significant. Because if I was somebody that didn't care about whether or not it was true, like this would all be very scary, to some person who's like easily convinced. Which, I mean, let's face it, it's Flashpoint. If they're all a bunch of MAGA prophets and stuff, the only people that watch this show, other than us, of course, are crazy, credulous idiots for the most part,
Exposing the truth. We need more whistleblowers coming forward. But they've done a really good job of setting up their procedures in the FBI, in the Department of Justice, to insulate themselves from scrutiny. I mean, look at the letters that David Weiss sent to Jim Jordan in June 7th, June 30th. Basically giving Jim Jordan the middle finger. You can't investigate us because we have an active investigation. That's what they always use as the excuse. So they've insulated themselves from scrutiny. It's very difficult.
Very difficult, Lance. I'm watching that clip and I'm thinking, I wonder how long.
Or isn't that just the law? Like you can't, if you have an active investigation, you can't be doing so. Anyway,
comment, Lance, on what you saw with Senator Ron
Comment,
Johnson.
Lance, do it.
Yeah, and in the long form interview there, Gene, with Dr. Luff, he brings up a question, and
why does it say Flashpoint? Flashpoint, like it looks like Lance Wallnau's name is Flashpoint. Like, okay, Flashpoint, now you go.
I think that the Republicans committees need to look into this. He said that entire 2-day meeting in Brussels was recorded. They have a deposition. They have the data. He said at no point did the FBI in the United States want to follow up on it, but the information's all there. So his deposition is there. It needs to be looked at. It will corroborate the corruption investigation that is going on regarding China and the Bidens. But, remember Bobulinski. Here, Tony Bobulinski.
It's funny, it will totally corroborate everything. We don't know if the stuff has to come out first before we can be looking at it and see if it does corroborate something. But they're like, it'll corroborate. Just pipe down. Okay, I know what's going to happen. All right, just
reveal that he was Biden's. He was Biden's 10% partner. He was never brought into the FBI. He said, "Here I am." Then we find out that some of these guys had 17 audio recordings, 2 of them with Biden on them. Let me tell you something. There is a whole lot of leaks.
Is that from the laptop? The laptop from hell? Is that what he's talking about? Let's see. Did he say insulate from scurvy? Did he accidentally say scurvy instead of scrutiny? Yes, probably. Yeah. Yeah, he's talking about a disease that you get from being on boats too long. I don't know much about scurvy.
This ship.
Something like that.
What I've been told is there's enough out there to sink Biden's presidency, but they don't want to sink him. You get this? Because he's cooked for the next round. He will not be the nominee. They want Gavin Newsom, but they're afraid if Biden goes out now, Harris will go in as president.
I hate to do that. Actually say I don't know. I watched that. Who was it? It was Sean Hannity. That's what it was. And Gavin Newsom. And I'm not a big Newsom fan, but that was a great conversation. Like we need people that at least talk like that. He like nailed them down on several different points and just, and didn't back down. Wasn't all like, oh, okay, I'm sorry, you're right, and just letting them say all their bullshit. He just was like talking over them and just spitting straight facts, man. And it was like you could see that he was getting so Sean Hannity was getting so like irritated because he had nothing, and it was awesome. I don't know, it was a good debate. I guess it was a debate. It's more of an interview, but
and they can't pull her out as a candidate, and they don't think she can win. So they're trying to prop him up like El Cid, like Charlton Heston, dead in the saddle, at least until they can get Gavin Newsom to run.
What reference was that? Is he talking? Is it? You mean Weekend at Bernie's? You fucking weirdo! Like, come on, man.
Primary Kamala Harris because they want Gavin Newsom at the top of the ticket. That's what I was told, but it makes sense, doesn't it?
It does make sense. I have heard quite a few.
I'm definitely not a fan of like Biden running again. Honestly, I don't. I know that that's what's going to happen, and I'm gonna fucking vote and encourage everybody to vote for Biden, if that's the case. But like, I would much rather somebody else, anybody else, not anybody, but other Democrats that are further to the left, I'd say, some people more like Bernie and shit like that. Not that I'm a Bernie bro, but I definitely appreciate his honesty when it comes to what's wrong with this country.
Varieties on that same factor. Let me go to Congresswoman Boebert. What do you think, Congresswoman? This sounds.
Oh, scurvy. Andrew said scurvy is a lack of vitamin C. Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. Okay, that's why Brits are called limeys. The sailors were eating limes to prevent scurvy. Huh. Okay. So it's like, but they got it on boats, right? Is that because they didn't have access to? I don't know why I'm thinking the boat thing. Am I crazy? I don't know. I was just like, thought it was like I heard of it as like a boat disease, but or something that people caught on boats. I don't know, because they didn't have access to vitamin C. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm misremembering.
Accurate to you?
Yes. There's so much that is going on right now that they want to cover up. I'm sure Biden wants us to stop looking at the past and get back to the future. But this is where we are right now. We are just uncovering all of this information.
Did you say get back to the future? Going back in time.
I was in a skiff reading unclassified documents, the FD 1023s. And, this is something that needs to be released to the American people. And I'm going into a skiff again on Thursday for another unclassified matter to meet with Secret Service agents about cocaine being found at the White House. I mean, this is twice now that this administration is putting us into skiffs, into secured rooms to be briefed on matters that are not.
It's funny too. I can't remember who it was. I think it was the Kyle guy on the Secular News, whatever. I can't think what it's called. But he was like saying that Biden is like if there was cocaine in the White House, like good, Biden needs it. And he played a bunch of clips of like Trump sniffing a whole bunch because that's what you do when you've done a lot of cocaine. You sniff a bunch. And then he showed the Trump Jr.'s like all eyes totally fucked up, just looked completely coked out of his mind. But yeah, Biden would do himself a favor, get on some coke, man.
Classified. And so they're doing everything that they can to protect Joe Biden. They certainly don't want my articles of impeachment that I sent to the Homeland Security Committee to come up and get a vote because Kamala.
Like, impeach him for what, man? Like, there's the thing. Like, they're acting like when we were trying to impeach Trump, or when the Democrats were trying to impeach Trump, that it was just nothing. That it was just like, they're just making stuff up, to impeach him. No, man. Like, that's they were Republicans on that side going, holy shit, the stuff he said on that perfect thank God were, insane. And no president's ever done anything like that, holding aid over somebody's head in order to get dirt on a political rival. I mean,
Harris is great insurance policy for Joe Biden. Certainly they don't want her in office. They don't want her in as vice president even. They'll send her somewhere and, she can tell kids about the space and moon and cackle with them.
Tell kids about the space and moon. Good one, lady. It's like, then that's out there. That's space. Yeah. And you know what see that round thing at night? That's the moon. Yeah. And then she cackled because they hate her laugh for some reason. This is the weirdest criticism. That I'm like, yeah, and her fucking laugh. Am I right? That cackle. Who laughs like that? Idiots. That's who. What?
I do believe that they would love to prop somebody like Gavin Newsom up. But either way, I am confident that President Trump is going to come in and win that general election in 2024. This is someone who has experience, who has a proven track record. And
what about DeSantis? Oh, you went for DeSantis? I thought you were as anti-woke as he is, but he's going against Trump, so you can't, And
also, President Trump is not going to be worried about his second term in office. Anyone else that would be going into that office, any other Republican, they would be more worried about their next election, their re-election, than these first 4 years that they were serving. So I am very confident that President Trump will win that, and we won't have to worry about Biden, Kamala, or Gavin Newsom.
Amen. I'll agree with that. I would pray and agree.
Yeah, I would much rather Gavin Newsom, honestly, than Biden. But I doubt that'll work out the way I think. Because I honestly don't even know how it works. I always thought that when you were if you're a Democrat won, then the one that won had to be the one that runs against the Republican that tries to run against him. But apparently that's not the case. Like, you can have people like Gavin Newsom run against him in like a primary or something. I don't know. I'm unfamiliar with it. I've never really seen that done. So
everybody in this room will agree with that. Let me ask you a question, Congresswoman. When you announced the articles for impeachment, it was staggering what we saw from your side of the aisle, the pushback you received, not wanting you to file those articles. Why the pushback? What was the big deal?
Because it was stupid.
Well, you see,
that's sad when even the Republicans are like, "Come on, man, you're making us look stupid." Okay, come on, what is this? What is this? And she's like, articles of impeachment because the laptop, Biden's Hunter's laptop.
Members of Congress have a hard time taking votes here in Washington, D.C. I think most members of Congress find ways to get out of taking votes and actually casting their vote. And that's what we're hired to do, to represent our constituents back home and take even the tough votes. But there was certainly a lot of pushback. Look, I went to committee chairman and leadership. I had inquired about committees actually bringing up an impeachment inquiry and doing the work, having the due process, laying out the case, having the vote in committee, and then being sent to the House floor. And it wasn't happening. And I said, enough is enough. We have millions of illegal aliens coming into our country. We have hundreds of thousands of children who have come over unaccompanied.
None of these things would be impeachable, though. That doesn't, like, just because you don't like this policy, that doesn't mean that you get to impeach him. And I think that's what they think it was happening with Trump, and that just could not be further from the fucking truth, man.
85,000 children who have gone missing, the sex trafficking that is taking place. And I said, enough is enough. If we are not going to have due process and send this through committee, then we will have a straight up and down
vote.
And
I will say straight up, look, if that is true, if there is any truth to that is fucking awful and evil, and we need to do something about it. Problem is, they claim this all the time. It's like the kid that cried wolf. Like, you can't, that's why everybody's looking at that movie and hearing them say this type of stuff and be like, yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, no, I get it. Like, it's everybody's a bad. Yeah, I know. And like, cause they sit there and say that any like telling kids that it's okay to be okay with gay people. And they're like, grooming. Like, just, it doesn't matter. Like, whatever they're doing, they're going to say that, they're grooming anyway. So it's like, that's why we can't take this shit seriously. And it's like they make it seem like we're just like so flippant about that horrific, that horrific thing that could be happening. But we're not. We just, it's like a bed of nails. It's hard to fucking it's hard to take you seriously when you just say it about, and it's just so mundane most of the time. You're just claiming it about everybody.
On the House floor, yes or no? Are you going to impeach Joe Biden? Now, when I forced that vote, suddenly committee chairman and leadership were more obliged to actually go through the process and begin that impeachment inquiry. So I am the first Republican to begin to force an impeachment inquiry in nearly 50 years in the House of Representatives.
That is not a good thing.
It was.
She's like so proud of that. That's not a good thing, man. Like that just shows that you're just being crazy and weird, man. And even your own Republicans are like voting against doing it, and you're just forcing it through. Jeez.
It was nauseating, astounding, and we were very proud of you for what you did, Congresswoman. Thank you.
That sounded so. That sounded so like half-hearted. We're very proud of you and what you're doing. Okay.
Let me change just topics a little bit because I've only got about 7 minutes. But before I do, I want to go back to Jesse Duplantis. Jesse, you got comments here on what you've heard so far?
Well, to me, I hear is,
I would have been so funny if he was asleep and was just like, what are you talking to me?
The word reset. We need a reset button in America. You know, we always talking about them and us. How come, I'd like somebody to answer this question for me. How come they can break the law, but when we try to do right, you're all breaking the law? And you know, we just keep talking about like what that senator said.
What? No, man. Like, nobody should be able to break the law. And it's like, it's so crazy. They act like the whole world is fucking against them when they have like the most power in this country. They make up the majority. I mean, the demographic that they look out for is the majority, and they are completely aligned with the politics that would be of the interest of billionaires. And then they want to sit there and act like, hey, we're not even allowed to do crimes anymore. This is bullshit. But the Democrats get away with all the crimes that we claim are crimes all the time. But
about Jim Jordan and things of that nature. And all they're trying to do is get to the bottom of things. Now, you just have to go. There is power, and you got to get to that.
Where he like knew there was like abuse going on and didn't do anything about it. Yeah, that was pretty gross. Is that what? I don't know if that's what he's referred to. He just kind of breezed over it. And it makes sense that he would breeze over it because I'm sure he doesn't want to hang around on that reality for very long.
Power to change the power that's in power. You see, and there's a way to do that, some kind of way, and you may have to go covert in the sets. You know what I'm saying? Because the propaganda is out there, completely out there. We need a total, complete reset. You see,
you're on Flashpoint talking about how the propaganda is out there. Yeah, that's just so ironic. It's hilarious.
Everybody wants to go back to doing the same thing, but they'll just get in the streets and the kids are stealing up the $900 and they don't do nothing about it. Nobody cares about that. But if you're a conservative, or if you're a Republican, you do that, they want to put you in jail. How come they want to put us in jail? We can't put them in jail.
If go to wherever it is, I can't remember where it's at, where they like made the laws less of a problem, whatever, for people that shoplift or whatever. Go to those places and you can do it too, man. Like nobody's like, oh, if a Republican goes into one of those department stores and shoplifts, like, oh wait, he's a Republican though, tackle him.
I think what we need to do is to go find the people that will stand behind not a conservative or not a Republican, but an American, and do what's right and hit that reset button and then get these things taken care of instead of.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that is their whole bag, right? Andrew said, I feel like Republicans are pissing on me, trying to convince me it's raining. Yeah, that's like their whole bag. It's constant gaslight, constantly lying. Everything is just, you do it, you're doing it, and just pointing at every little thing, any little factoid that could be twisted into some evil thing. That's just all they do. It really like it seems to come from like that conspiracy mind where it's like there's this narrative going on behind the scenes that isn't real, right? So then you can take all the world events, all the things that are real, and then tie that false narrative to all of those real world events and find some kind of an anomaly. It's anomaly hunting, really. It's what it's called. And then say, oh, well, what about this anomaly? Oh, what about that anomaly? Why would they do this? All just to like claim that their narrative is true. It's post hoc rationalizations after events and stuff to rationalize their narrative, and make it seem like their narrative is reasonable. But again, it's like a grand conspiracy thing where everybody's got to be in on it. They're saying the entire DOJ, all the feds, all the everybody. Come on, give me a fucking break, dude.
Of just keep waiting until the statute of limitations runs out. And that's what they're doing. I mean, it's just common sense. But it's amazing to me how many people can go that way. Like the media, they won't do this. Well, the minute you start touching their freedom of the press, well, ladies and gentlemen, let's start touching the freedom of the press. They're touching us. Let's touch them. Do you understand what I'm saying? I mean, I don't mean that in a...
And if you want people to be touching you and want to be touching them, just go to adamandeve.com and enter code word BRENTLY at checkout to get 50% off almost any one item, 3 free gifts, one for him, one for her, and one you'll both enjoy, 6 free movies, and free shipping on the whole order. Just go to adamandeve.com, enter code word BRENTLY, that's BRENTLY, at checkout to get your exclusive offer. All right. That's 2 on this one. That's
in a bad way. I walk in love, but love in its purest form is discipline. And
right.
You got the guts to do these things. You got, and that's what I'm saying. But as long as you keep talking, pushing it off, it's always allegations and never any substance to it. And we're not going to give you these documents, and we're not going to do this. Wait a minute. We got to find some people that'll walk with us. And if that's the Army, the Marines, the Navy, the Air Force, I'm not asking for a coup. What I'm saying is, I'm asking,
sounds
why
like
can't we have the same rights?
Sounds like you kind of are, dude. You sound like, I'm not asking for a coup. I just want the military to take over the government because we hate Biden so much.
As all these other people. And all you got to do, if you want to shake up CNN, you want to shake up all the NBC and ABC, go touch their freedom of the press and see what will happen. And you can do that. I mean, and now they're going to get everybody mad as a hornet, but at least
wouldn't you be like the first to get shut down if that's the case?
Open up a discussion to hit the reset button.
It's good. In fact, I'm going to let Congress...
The reset button? Why does he keep saying reset? It's almost like he is... trying to push a great reset, if you know what I'm saying. Okay. And, he's behind it all, and it's all connected, and the lizard people are in control, and they're trying to reset everything. The World Economic Forum and
Woman Boebert respond to that first.
Oh, yeah, she's still here.
Well, there's not many of our freedoms that the federal government hasn't messed with so far, but they certainly did try to go after the freedom of the press during COVID. But unfortunately, it was the truth that was being suppressed, and not the lies and the propaganda and the pandering and forcing American citizens to inject themselves and causing fear throughout our entire nation. So in that regard, certainly we have seen the freedom of press be infringed by the federal.
And they're still, it's crazy that they can get this far, and still be looking back and lying about what happened in the past. It's crazy. They keep on being like, we're owed a bunch of apologies for COVID. And it was like, no, man, you were still wrong that entire time. There's new strains that have, that the vaccine is not as effective on, but that's not that, but the ones that were back then when it was happening, it was effective on. It's crazy they can do that. Oh, look, a new strain isn't effective. Oh, see, we were right the whole time. No, fuckhead. You don't understand the way this thing progresses, where time is fucking linear, dude. Jesus Christ.
Government, even with the Hunter Biden laptop story being suppressed. This is something that we're addressing in the House Oversight Committee. But my number one job is to secure the rights of Americans and make sure that they remain free.
Unless they're gay or trans, right? Yeah.
That is exactly why I'm here. I love freedom, not because I'm a Republican, not because I'm a conservative. I love freedom because Jesus set me free, because I am a Christian. And I truly know what
it's a Christian show. That's right. That's why we're watching it. I totally forgot. I was like, what are we even doing? This is like a political.
What it means to be free. And that's something that I'm here to preserve for generations to come. And I will fight each and every day to do that. But I think to Jesse's point, and a great man who I've had the pleasure of spending some time with in my district in Colorado. But to Jesse's point, it's the American people that can start touching that freedom of press. It's the American people who could say, I am not listening to you anymore. I'm not turning your channel on. I'm not reading your paper. I'm not subscribing to your subscription. And
you all already do that, man. What are you talking about? You're on the show that they watch. The ones with that has your complete slanting. There wasn't a single fact that was Spooky said, hallelujah, sister. There wasn't a single fact that whole time. They were just saying stuff. Like they were just like saying a bunch of like just skim over the top. Oh, it's all corrupt. This is bad, and then doing it. But there was no like reporting. There were no facts. There was nothing actually said. There was just broad strokes of everybody's corrupt. That is on my team,
That is how they will be the most impacted, is when it starts hitting their wallets.
That's so true. Let me say this, coming up July 30th, Sunday afternoon. You want to be a part right here in Fort Worth as we begin we're the opening act, if you want to put it that way, the Truth and Freedom Tour. Flashpoint Live right here in Fort Worth. I'll be talking with Mike Lindell, talking to him about the
election. On this fucking thing. Mike Lindell. How do you still promote that man? That is insane, dude. Like isn't he being sued for billions because of the voting machines? Like both companies are suing him. This is crazy. Okay, and then Kuhneman, that dude is hilarious. He is just always. I'm getting a word from the Lord. I'm getting a word. It's constant. He does that. It's so ridiculous looking. It's all right. Well, hey, thank y'all so much for hanging out and watching. And I really do appreciate everybody. And one more time, go to adamandeve.com, enter code word Brentley, and get 3 free gifts, one for him, one for her, and one you both enjoy. 50% off almost any one item, 6 free movies, and free shipping on the whole order. Go to adamandeve.com, enter code word Brentley. That's BRENTLY. But yeah, thanks again for watching. This was a lot of fun. I think next time we'll get away from the politics shit, because I'm just kind of over it. It's just a bunch of lies. It's so difficult to it's almost like they say, what is it, proving the bullshit wrong is an order of magnitude larger than it takes to produce it, because you have to sit there and break down every single thing that they said. And it's that's why I don't really do politics. It's logic stuff is so much more fun, and just the religious stuff is way more fun, because it's so easy to point out how stupid it is, and I don't have to sit there and go through every single lie and prove that each one is wrong. But they are wrong. I don't really even have to do that, because we just know they're full of shit. But hey, well, thanks so much again for watching. If you want to like and subscribe, that'd be great. Ring the bell, because I do these at random. And make sure to stay logical, loving, skeptical, and compassionate. And we'll see you next time.